War! What is it good for? Well, it's actually good for the oil industry, and it's good for the gas industry, and it's good for the weapons and defence industry. Hold on to that thought. As long as our lighting, heating, power, transport, energy and entire economy are dependent on fossil fuels, we will continue to be at the risk of conflicts driven by despots, greedy corporations and even our own leaders as we invade countries or hold countries to ransom over these filthy and finite resources. Whatever historical colonialist agenda is driving Putin to invade Ukraine, it is our reliance on the fossil fuels that Russia controls that has emboldened him to commit such a blazing direct act of international barbarism not seen since Syria, Afghanistan and Iraq. Make no mistake here, this invasion has been in the planning for fucking years. Collectively, Europe gets around 40% of its gas directly from Russia on a just-in-time basis, meaning that most countries' reserves of gas are at an historical low, as storage facilities, often themselves owned by Russian state-sponsored oligarchs and their subsidiaries, had been systematically drained over the past 10 years or so that our reserves are now only enough to light and heat our homes, to boil our kettles and to keep our industries alive for just days rather than weeks or months. Are you joining the dots yet? Europe also gets 25% of its oil from Russia, and the USA gets 7% of its oil from Russia. So effectively, Russia not only controls our gas supply in Europe, but also the worldwide price of gas and oil. And trust me when I tell you, when you control the price of gasoline in the USA, you control the hearts and minds of the American public. But meanwhile, a sizable chunk of Americans actually believe that Joe Biden is to blame for the increase in gasoline prices. You can see why Donald Trump thinks that Putin is clever. We are being held to ransom with fossil fuels, the same fossil fuels that we have had years with a bit of planning to wean ourselves away from. The same fossil fuels that we have known since the 1970s are actually killing the fucking planet. You couldn't make this shit up. No, Putin is not a genius, but he has clearly been planning this for years, investing, planning and thinking ahead. If only he was an environmentalist and not a power-hungry despot. If only he cared about humanity and not empire building. Why have our leaders not had a vision beyond their own short term in office to think ahead, to plan ahead and to invest in clean renewable energy? How could they not see this coming? How could we not see this coming? We have and continue to be blind to the suffering of millions as our overprivileged Western lifestyles are heating up the planet and are already forcing entire communities in places we don't really care about, like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, the Philippines, Haiti, Senegal, into poverty, starvation, conflict, drought, and for millions to be displaced as climate refugees. Look, the sheer horror of the war in Ukraine that we can relate to so much better as we see homes and cities that look like ours, people that look like us, families that look like ours, a Western way of life that we can relate to are displaced, bombed and destroyed. The scale of the humanitarian cost is almost impossible to comprehend, to bear, to take in as we watch this unfold on our televisions, mobile phones and computers. But it is our reliance and need for fossil fuels, filthy, dirty fossil fuels, that have both driven and enabled this horrific conflict. And the real breathtaking, callous genius of this is that when the cost of fossil fuels doubles, triples or even quadruples, the cost to pull it out of the ground remains the same. War! What is it good for? Russian oligarchs and the fossil fuel industry. Will we learn? Will we fuck? Take a look at this headline. Offshore wind farms vital amid tensions with Russia, says Energy Secretary. This headline is from 2014. But take a look at this headline. This one is from 2022. 7 estuary tidal energy planned back on agenda amid Ukraine crisis. Back on the agenda. They took this stuff off because it wasn't vital. Nobody was invading anybody. The short-sightedness of it is breathtaking. It is breathtaking. These are the people we've voted in to act in our best interests. We'll probably be back here in another 8 years' time when Putin goes for Poland. I don't know. I hope not. We need to act now to move away from fossil fuels. Now, we need to act now to move away from fossil fuels. Or conflicts like this will get closer and closer to home. My home, your home, our homes. George Monbiot summed this up beautifully in a piece he wrote this week in The Guardian. The measures needed to forestall environmental catastrophe are the same as those required to release ourselves from dependency on the autocratic governments and ecocidal corporations that control the world's fossil fuels. Starving the Russian military machine of funds, preventing the collapse of life on Earth, we can do both at the same time. What are we waiting for? If you are new to my channel and are not a Russian oligarch wishing to rub Novichok on my door handle, and no, that is not a euphemism, I would love to get your feedback. So please do comment below. And if you would like to see more of my weekly ramblings, do please subscribe to my channel and hit the little notification button so that you don't need to miss a thing. You can also share this video across any of the social media platforms. And don't forget to scratch the like button. Doing all or any of these things really does help me reach a wider audience and hopefully affect positive change. And if you did like this video, found it disturbing, just feel compelled to watch more, you might like this one. Or even this one. I knew I'd eventually find a use for this t-shirt. Thanks, Paul.